Welcome to the People's Guild. If you are invested in Splinterlands or if you are just curious about Splinterlands, then this podcast is for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy.
All right. Well, we are back with another episode and another super special guest. We welcome to the People's Guild's one half of Darkest Sound or Afternight. The OG, the original Darkestnyte. Welcome to the People's Guild, man. Thank you for hopping on.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You mentioned one time on the stream with Aftersound that this is the greatest time to be in Splinterlands, and you've never been so excited about gaming before. Can you explain to our listeners why that is?
Yeah, so we're in a bear market right now, right? So for a lot of people, there's a lot of fear out in crypto in general. But for a Splinterlands player, we have a lot of updates that are coming. The team is literally working on a lot of those things. But asset prices are affordable, far more affordable than they've been really, since last year. And the prices continue to drop, right? As long as you're not selling those assets and your goal is to accumulate them, then this is a great time, right? You can get the things you need, get the cards you need, complete your collection, build that collection power. Because at some point in the future, all of these cheap cards are not going to be available, right? You're gonna wish you had bought more, Pellicor Bandits or Mercenaries or whatever card that you think is, it's trash when you get it, right? Those cards will all disappear. We've seen this before, right? I remember getting certain cards. What's a good example? What's the name of that card? It's Phineas Rage, right? Mm-hmm. Getting Phineas Rage as a reward, and you're like, what is this trash, right? But now it's a great card, right? Because it kind of fits the meta. Things are always changing, right? And so you have to really look to the future, try to anticipate what the future is going to be, and then accumulate the assets now. So that's what, most people that plan to play for a while, that's what they're doing. So that's really the best time, right? If I tell Aftersound all the time, we joke about this, right? Because we talk a lot outside of stream. And really what we talk about is try to imagine what the game will look like a year from now. Right. We're still not going to have land, right? But that's one of our common jokes. But chances are good. And then we'll be further through the roadmap. Well, when you look at the roadmap, there's some great things on there. Right? Things they're going to drive value. And then everybody's going to flood into the game. And guess what? Everyone that's here now is going to be established, right? They're going to have all the shiny toys, and they don't have to go to the market and buy stuff. So that's why I think this is really a great time.
Yeah. That's a
great insight. So kind of using that year cadence as, looking back a year, that's when Kieran had just kind of come into the game. I was still a few months away from joining the game, but in that last 12-month time span, the game has changed so much. And I expect in the next 12 months, you just came back from Splinterfest, and the team revealed so much cool stuff about what's coming in the pipeline and UX UI changes that are coming, potential new looks for cards with Rebellion, and just so much good stuff coming down the pipeline. So who knows what the game's going to look like in a year. Let's get right into it, man. Tell us, what are you most excited about that was kind of dropped at Splinterfest for what's coming down the pipeline?
Everything. There was so much coming at us, but I got to tell you, my Splinterfest actually started the day before. Right. So I'm corporate, right? So I'm an exec, I hang out in corporate America. I've been doing that for 35 years. So I recognize a lot of the things. I recognize, C-level executives and things like that. And I have expectations of them that are a little bit different than just an active, player at a game, right? Because again, this is kind of the world I live in. And it's interesting because I had lots of one-on-one time with aggro, right? It wasn't anything I planned, right? It was just, we just started a conversation. Lots of one-on-one time with Matt, right? Awesome guys. I mean, they're so smart. But one of the things that I might have worried about, let's say a year ago, is this game really going to be around a year from now? Right? There's a lot of games that we played last year and the year before that are just gone. But when I look at the passion that these guys have for the game and the transparency that they have, like Aggro just came, we were all hanging out, that Friday night, and he just came out and just hung out with us, right? He had his newborn baby, well, not newborn anymore, but a couple of months old. And they're hanging out, and they were interacting with us because that's where they wanted to be, if that makes sense, right? They could have been off in their suites, hiding from the crowds, but no, every opportunity they got, they were with us, the players. So that was something interesting. So I said that to kind of set up some of the things of the one-on-one conversations, and I'll start there. So I don't know if you guys saw that there was a Q&A, right? So people were waiting on the side of the stage and they had an opportunity to ask questions. And so I was waiting. I pulled Dwayne Cunningham up. I said, dude, if anybody has a question, you have a question. And because he had just walked in, right? And he was like, oh, well, yeah. He said, I don't have one right now. But like within 5 seconds, he said, oh, I got 5 questions. And I'm like, that's right. So I never got a chance because, everything was pretty well timed, right? But we did get a chance to get our questions. And Matt walked up to me and he said, hey, man, I saw you there. I know you have a question and I know it's going to be a good one. So what's your question? And he just waited for me to ask my question. And I was like, wow. And I said, I love the game. I want to play it more, but ECR is killing me, right? I said, I want to play more. And right now I have to choose between playing the game and getting rewards, right? And I said, and it's not necessarily about making a full return on my investment, right? It's about at least just making it worth it. I got into the game to get some rewards, get some crypto, right? And, right now my ECR, and I'm not joking, is 1.61%.
And I felt badly that I was creeping into the high 50s.
So think about it, because I've been dealing with trying to get back to champion, right? I will not get to champion, right? So I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. But I said, Matt, man, this thing is killing me. I want to play more and I have to make this choice. And he acknowledged first, he said, yeah, you do have to make that choice, right? Do you want to play a lot or do you want to get the rewards? And I said, man, I've been investing in assets for 2 years. Even at 100% ECR, I'm like never going to make all of my money back, right? No matter how much I could play for 100 years. I was exaggerating, right? But I said I could play for 100 years and I'm not come close to the value. And I said, but the value of my deck is too high to just not play, right? The cards are too awesome to not play. It's fun to play. And so I get it. If I have to make a choice, I'm going to roll around with 1.61% ECR. Right. But I shouldn't have to really do that because one of the draws of the game is getting rewards, play and earn. Right. So he said, look, he said, you're kind of probably in like the 1% of players. The ECR thing wasn't really meant for you. Right. He said, but however, what he said is they are working on a fix. They might have adjusted a little bit too much on the ECR. And I said, man, you acknowledge my issue and you said help is coming. I'm good. I don't care if it's next year or 2 years or 3 years from now. The fact that it's on a list and you guys are thinking about it. And if you come back and say, you know what? Nothing we can do about it. It is the way it is. At least I know that you looked at it, you considered an alternative, and this is what's best for the community for whatever reasons, right? The thing is, we as players, sometimes we think everything revolves all around us and we want it right now, right? There's a song I sing, it's from Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Factory, right? I think that Splinterlands players are like Veruca Salt sometimes. I want it now. I want the whole world. And if you listen to that song, it literally describes us sometimes. And sometimes I have to remember that, right? That this is a development cycle, right? There are things I want now, but it's not realistic for them to, knee jerk a change, right? And that'll do much more damage than benefit. So anyway, so hopefully I answered your question, or at least one of them.
Well, I think like definitely what you say about the team, like when we were chatting with Aggie last week, it's just he's so approachable, isn't he? And number one, he listens. It kind of just, I was thinking about it before, just kind of like the way things were, right? When you're in this community and whatever the leader does, you just trust them and you follow them. It's like, you're like the Vikings back in the day, like people, obviously the spoils of war were a bit of an incentive, but you had to trust that leader, and wherever he would go, you just follow them into battle. So it kind of feels this is what Splinterlands is. Everyone that is invested in the game is invested for a reason, and it comes from the top, right? Like I remember listening to Gank, like he just threw everything he could into land, all his money, and the main reason was because of the team.
Absolutely, and that's going to pay off, right? We talked about land extensively at Splinterfest. Again, is it going to come quickly? The things that they're doing with the economy have to be sorted out, right? The whole tokenomics around DEC and SPS and the airdrop and all that had to be fixed, right? Before we start, rolling out more stuff. And it took us a year to fix that, right? But here we are now. That's behind us, or going to be behind us, and now we can focus on the things that are important to us, right? New player experience, that's going to be awesome, right? There's a whole team working on that now, right? Player retention, right? How many players have gone through the gauntlet of learning how to play the game? The game is awesome, but it is unforgiving sometimes. And so if you've gone through that gauntlet, how do you, sometimes people leave, right? They before they can really progress to gold and diamond, right? And that's where all the magic happens, I think, right? Gold, diamond, if you're hanging out there, it's like a whole nother game. Yeah. So those are the things that are being worked on. The new UI was awesome. I don't know if you guys saw that. Did you guys see the little snap?
Is that Battles 2.0?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That's going to be hot. That's going to be super hot. So, I mean, again, the cards have voices, right? They're literally working with voice actors to give all the cards voices. So when you click them, they're going to say stuff. So have you guys
do you make a pitch to be the new legendary Death Summoner's voice, dude?
Oh, I gotta earn that. You know what? But that's one of the things. So Aggie told a story, and I think he also told the story on the town hall. But we were live streaming from Splinterfest. It was Sunday morning, and we just hit end of the live stream, and Aggie comes walking up, and he's just like hanging out with us, and he told the story about more or less. Did he say that on the town hall? I still haven't seen it yet because I've been recovering from Splinterfest, right? But have you guys seen that? Or have you guys seen that?
No.
Okay, so I'll just tell you the story. So Aggie has some friends. And they're doctors, right? And they're married, and they haven't decided to have children yet, right? And so, but because they're doctors, they see a lot of kids, and the question whenever they meet a kid, they ask each other more or less, right? And what that means is, do you want to have kids more, or do you want to have them less? And so Aggie uses that and use that for Splinterfest, right? Do I want to own more assets or less assets as a result of Splinterfest, right? And he said, I have lots of assets, but I'm walking around here thinking I don't have enough. And it was funny because that's exactly how I was feeling, right? I was feeling like I don't have enough. I don't have enough of the right assets. I have cards that I play with, but sometimes this is an investment. how will I be able to part with some of these cards at some point in the future when it takes off? Well, I have my play deck. I'm never going to part with that, right? I'm going to give that to my kids at one point, right? So, but there still should be assets that are cheap now that sometime in the future, whether it's a year, 2 years, whatever it's going to be, that I can say, I can throw them on the market and say, wow, that was awesome, right? And so I don't have enough assets for that, right? I have enough assets just for me, but that's not enough, right? So it was a really good analogy. And I had it was insightful, right? Because here's a guy that can have as many assets as he wants, and he's like, I don't have enough, right? So think about that. So my answer to the question was for Splinterfest specifically, and not just Splinterfest, right? Every town hall, every town hall, every live stream that I do with Aftersign, every time I hear Gank and Walking Keys, I'm like, man, I don't have enough, right? So,
but it's just like what to focus on, right? Like what is it like? Everyone's got their own journey, right? Like you can listen to, like, this is one of my, as mentioned to Ben before, like one of my possibly mistakes at the beginning. I listened to too many people about what they were doing, and I didn't think about what I should have been doing. And this is what everyone has to choose, right? But so after Splinterfest, what assets are you kind of trying to focus on now then?
So, so if you've seen the show, you guys know that I FOMO buy a lot of things.
Rooney's.
Oh my God, we haven't even talked about Rooney, so we'll get there in a second because I totally FOMO bought on that. No, so Rift Watchers, those cards are, I'll just say it, man. A lot of those cards are busted, and Rift Watcher Kai. That one, Quarrel Lurker. I mean, those cards are really OP. And then again, they don't nerf cards, right? So they are what they're going to be. And I think those cards, a lot of those Rift Watcher cards are dominant. I have a full set of Chaos Legions, so there's not really much to buy there. I want to definitely have a full set of Rift Watchers cards. I have all of the legendaries now, so I'm not focused on that. But here's a funny kind of a realization with Rift Watchers. While they say that they're rare cards, they really look and play more like legendary cards. So if you look at them, they're crazy, right? So, and you can tell by the price now, right? The price for a lot of those rare cards has pumped up. They'll eventually drop, and that's what I'm waiting for. But, and the common cards, right, play like rares. Right. So they're, and I think that was intentional, right? Their mana costs are very high. So I guess you got to validate some of that mana cost. But I think that they've done a phenomenal job. And the interesting thing is, I never thought that Chaos Legion was finished, right? It always felt underpowered to me, right? Like I had some basic good ones, Demon Shark and, Deep Lurker and things like that, but they're staples, right? And again, they work within their meta, but it felt like it was just really missing the big baddies. And now when I see, Rift Watchers, ooh, those things are crazy, and they fit great, right? And you can't play them all the time, right? So you get them, and again, they have their spots, right? They're good.
Yeah, I feel like the Rift Watchers, to your point, it really completes the set. If you're just looking at Chaos Legion as kind of standalone, Kelia and Team Water just, they steamroll the rest of the splinters. As soon as you introduce Rift Watchers and the legendary summoners, all of a sudden Fire and Life are competing towards the top. Death is completely badass. Earth is incredible. Yeah.
Yes.
You can't count any splinter out.
Yeah. So but to specifically answer your question, the thing that I'm most focused on right now is becoming a better player, right? The assets themselves, without really competent play, is you might as well just, put a fungible token in your wallet and just let it hang out there, right? The key with Splinterlands is you're really rewarded for being a good player. And I'm an emotional player, right? So I say, oh, there's Waka. I want to play with Waka this round, right? And Waka may be the worst choice ever for that specific rule set. But there I am playing it because it's kind of cool. Or I might grab, Kitty. Kitty is great, but not great in every rule set, right? So I think what I want to do is not take the passion for the game away, but build up competency and really just up my consistent play. So that when I know that I see a certain rule set, I know the cards I'm supposed to play and the order I'm supposed to put them in, and really understand better the synergies. I think that's the next journey that I want to take over the next year.
Yeah, I saw in your stream yesterday with Aftersound, that was one of your main takeaways from Splinterfest, is that you realize that there's a difference between the players now, because after speaking to like Virus and all those other guys, you felt like there's a bit of a gap, right? So is that like something that you are gonna be working on?
Yeah, you mentioned Virus specifically, right? So like I had no idea, right? Like, we were chatting in Discord for, months. I didn't really understand the level of expertise. I was I play by myself, right? I'm here, I submit a team. There's no interaction really with your opponent. So you don't know the thought process they're going through. And you can watch videos, but people don't really talk about that. Right. So there's knowledge out there, but it's hard-won knowledge, if that makes sense. Everyone, like to your point, right? Everyone has their own journey. Well, some people focused on being a really good player, and that they have a natural affinity for that. Right. And so Virus is one of those people, right? It's that he calculates, cards and positioning, and it's important to him to compete at that highest level. Right. For me, I thought, asset acquisition was enough. Not even close, right? It's the other side. And in fact, I've seen players compete in silver, right? That I know that if I delegate them my deck, they're going to wreak havoc in the higher levels, right? There are excellent players out there, and all they really need is a chance at, playing. That's why I think ghost card tournaments are going to be awesome, right? Because they don't have to own those cards. They just come in and have access to everything. And I truly believe that that's going to change really our entire community, because there are great players out there. I see them all the time when we're competing in brawls and such like that. And so I think that's going to be the big transition for this year. So we're all going to get some assets. We all have access through rentals and things like that. But I think there's going to be an evolution in the players themselves.
Yeah, I think it's kind of just reminds me of just like, I know it's just a game, right? But if you want to be the best or at the top, the top circle, you've got to just go that extra mile. Like I'm thinking about like football, soccer, like someone like Ronaldo, he's gifted, but he just does, he looks at his diet, he looks at what he drinks, he looks at what he sleeps, he takes ice baths. So this is probably what the guys at the top are doing, or I'm not saying about taking ice baths or anything, but like they are, yeah, but they are doing something a little bit. But I wonder, like, if, like, there was that like famous group back like 100 years ago, with all the big boys, like back in America, like the oil conglomerates and the
robber barons. Yes,
that was it. So like they would meet. I've read the book, like how to become rich, I think it's something like that, and they would have these meetings and they would just like throw around ideas, and it was all just like this meeting of the minds. I wonder if something like we could just arrange something with Splinterlands, right? Just to kind of like meet every so often and just like thrash around ideas and line up. So I think that's why I'm really want them to put in like practice matches, like make it available for us as well. Like just to, sorry, go.
No, go. No, so that we talked about that, right? That was one of the things we talked about with Matt and Agrod in our little, our conversation
Yeah.
is access to the QA server, right? Like, but that's the thing, right? Mavericks do have access to the QA server. I wish we would be in there more, doing exactly what you said. I don't know if you guys are in the Maverick server, but I would highly. I mean, again, I would love to say, hey, every Friday night or Saturday night or once a month, hey, we're all going to meet in the QA server at this point to do exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't mean anything, right? You're not going to risk any assets. And we're just playing for fun. And maybe we're playing for, bragging rights.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We and this is kind of touching back on a couple of things both of you guys just mentioned. So the ghost card tournaments, we had talked to Weirdbeard previously, and kind of Weirdbeard's main narrative that he really wants to drive forward is bringing the community with a story and connecting the people and putting context to these battles outside of, player A and player B. Oh, it's B Jangles and Darkestnyte. They're sitting 50-50 and really providing like that history, that backstory, and some context for the players. And thinking about what you just mentioned with Virus, how great would it be? And I wonder if this is something that the team is working towards is, maybe a little bit of opportunity post battle to recap and chat in game versus, having to connect on Discord. How can you start to create and perpetuate and propel those stories between particular players when you meet, at random within the game?
So I would tell you Splinterfest accomplished that goal, right? Like I consider Virus a good friend now, right? If he say, hey, and I need bail money, I'm like, tell me where to go. And I would be there, right? So, and for anybody like Walking Keys, I don't know if you heard or heard that story, but Walking Keys, Dwayne, I've interacted with them in person, right? It's for me, it's changed, right? Before, it was videos and you'd see them on the video and, you'd agree or disagree or whatever. But now that I've interacted with everyone that's there, like those, I consider them my friends now, right?
Mm.
I'll still take them down in a match, but we'll, I'll tell you something funny, right? So last night I couldn't sleep. And so I just jumped into Luke's stream, right? I saw Luke was on. I was like, let me just jump in. And it was a who's who, right? Ashley was there. Dwayne was there. Everybody was there. And I said, oh my God, I couldn't sleep. And then I walked into a party and it felt like a party. And we all felt, everyone was welcomed. Think about this, right? I'm sure you guys have gamed for a long time. Think about how toxic some of the communities are, right? Like I have rarely seen anything in terms of toxicity in this community. In fact, quite the opposite, right? People are willing to delegate and give cards to each other for nothing in return, right? They give each other cards and packs and they try to help each other. Now, again, in competition, we want to win, right? But outside of that actual, 3 minutes of submitting your team, the level of toxicity is super low. In fact, quite the opposite. Again, we are, I feel that sense of community, right? We have all, and I'll just bring this up, we've all kind of gone through this ordeal that's been the pandemic, right? A lot of us have been just alone by ourselves. And the only, interaction we've had with other people is through this game. Right? I mean, think about that. So you start to recognize people and jump onto their live streams and have conversations with them. This is a living, breathing community that really does take care of itself. And again, I couldn't have realized how much that was true until I went to Splinterfest. Like, wow. I felt like I knew everybody. Like I knew everybody and they were excited to see me and I was excited to see them. And we hung out for, really for 3 days, just talking about Splinterlands. Think about this. How many people can you guys personally talk to about Splinterlands? right? That's in your family, maybe at your job. Man, they'll look at you like you're crazy, right? I mean, they might entertain it for, 2 or 3 minutes, but the reality is we talked about Splinterlands for hours and hours. And then we went to sleep and we're still watching videos. And then we got there at the arena and we're like, oh, hey, let's talk more about Splinterlands, right? That's a passion that just can't be beat. So anyway, hopefully I answer you guys' questions.
Yeah. No, I just think it also just highlights the importance of conversation as well, right? And how people are able to connect through conversation.
Absolutely.
I think, and it just like so many of our conversations with the podcast, it always comes back to the importance of community. So, and I've asked this question quite a few times and there's always different answers, but like, why do you think the Splinterlands community is so good and not toxic compared to other communities?
So if I had to guess, right, I can only say the reason why I joined and stayed is I have a view of crypto in general that is very optimistic, right? I believe it's one of those transformative, once in 1,000-year technologies that has the potential to change our way of life. And I think just being associated with that and with like-minded people is part of the draw, right? I know we're playing a game, right? But we're really using the assets, which are just crypto, right? They're mine, right? No one can come and take them, and well, they could if I get careless, right? But again, there's an ownership and responsibility that we've all endeavored to share it. And I think that's what makes it different than a game where there's no real investment. We've all made investments in this game. We could have bought lots of other stuff, right? But we chose this asset to hold and own. And we see like-minded people, even when there are our opponents. So I think that's just the nature of the space, right? Yeah. I think that's it, right? There's a thing that binds us all together, regardless of where we are in the world. There's this one unifying force, which is really belief in the project, and I think belief in crypto in general.
Yeah. I also think projects like Splinterland, like you say, it is a once in 1,000-year opportunity, and it's so important for the world that games such as and projects such as Splinterlands are a success, because it will just pave the way for other companies to follow us, because it's such a great blueprint, right? Like, and of course there have been mistakes along the way, but having a team such as Splinterlands, they will try and fix it. They listen, and yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think they have the recipe, right? And I think they're going to be a model for the future for other companies that want to do the similar thing. They're going to, Aggie and Matt especially, right, are experimenting, like mad scientists, right? And they're figuring out what other projects haven't figured out. And eventually someone's going to come to them and say, hey, can you teach us your secret sauce, right? And so we can do something similar. And I don't think that they would say no, right? They might say, hey, come work with us for a couple of years before we give you the secret sauce, right? But I mean, I don't know what they would say, right? But I think their belief is very similar to ours, which is this is a great unifier in the community, and they've proven it, right? Yeah. I mean, of course, there are some people that are, that we don't have to agree. And that's what the SPS proposals are about, right? We don't have to agree on everything, but I have a voice. I've voted more in Splinterlands and I've voted in my own country in the last couple of years. Like, think about that. Like, that's insanity.
And you've also been able to see the difference like that.
Like that. So this is the future, right? Man, I'd vote every week if I could. you know, on whatever proposal, right? Some I'm gonna, and I read every aspect of it. Think about the last time someone has voted and they really read what the issues really were. Like, well, like whatever, I'm gonna vote for that guy, like whatever. Right now, we are scrutinizing, and not only scrutinizing, we are campaigning for our point of view.
Yeah.
And I saw Agro, you know, reach out to the whales and say, hey, you know, the community needs you to potentially change your point of view. It's not just about you and your assets. This is better for the community if you follow me. You don't have to change your mind, but I'm asking. And they change your mind.
Yeah.
Right? Because he asked.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. That's a very powerful tool. And I look forward to, again, a year from now, what's that going to look like? This will be the community we literally created.
Yeah,
that's such a brilliant thought, man. And thinking back to our conversation with Aggie, the one of the opening things that we asked him was to define and elaborate his perspective on peace, prosperity, and freedom. You know, on various town halls, he brings this up. This is, you know, kind of his fundamental core belief in why Splinterlands was founded, and why he has such a strong conviction that crypto is going to change the world. And it's because of these fundamental, you know, his ethos is peace, prosperity, and freedom. And I love that, you know, you just mentioned that he is conversing with the whales and trying to get them to see this perspective that's going to, you know, bring everybody up with that shifted mindset. And I think this goes back to Kieran's earlier question of, you know, what have you found in this community that's, you know, kind of made you a fabric of this community? Because I think all of us feel that we are in some way, you know, a core piece of this amazing community that's kind of been knitted over the last couple of years. And it's such a cool culture of, you know, that transparency, that authenticity, where you feel like, you know, what benefits you is going to benefit me, which is going to benefit the whole group. And yeah, it's just been an amazing ride, and kind of watching a lot of that come to fruition in the flesh with Splinterfest. It makes me so happy to hear you say, Darkestnyte, that, you know, you've been conversing with these guys, you've been seeing them on video, you've seen them on stream, you've chatted in Discord, but that friendship really transcended all of that as soon as you guys saw each other in person.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Man, I was feeling FOMO watching Splinterfest from afar, but to hear you say this, it just makes me want to have been there so badly. So I'm really picketing for Splinterfest Asia 2023, man.
I already got you. So that's one of the conversations I had with Agro and Matt. So that's what we asked for. So we said Splinterfest Philippines. Is that close enough?
Oh yeah, that's a couple hours flight, man.
Yeah. So, and I would, man. Last time I was over there, that was a long haul, but I would do it for this, and I would stay for a long time and just hang out. So yes, that's already been there. We got you. We totally got you.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, Aggie did mention something about America, Asia, and Europe. So that would be, and like possibly having, you know, 2 or 3 in the year. So that's something to look forward to. So
I absolutely want to do that.
I was going to ask you, so before Splinterfest, what were you looking forward to the most? And like, did that meet your expectations? And I've got a guess what it might have been, but and like, were there any surprises where you're like, whoa, that was something special I wasn't expecting?
So the thing I really was excited about was meeting Aftersound for the first time. So you knew I was going to say that. Yeah, I can see what you're So yeah. So meeting Aftersound. But here's the weird thing, right? Aftersound and I talk a lot, right? And not just about Splinterfest or Splinterlands or anything like that. We talk about lots of different things. So I knew what to expect there, right? So like, he's exactly how you see him you know, on a stream. Exactly, right? Like it's very genuine. So that was good. What was the surprise was how much how cool the other guys were, right? Like I was disappointed that the gang didn't show up, but Walking Keys did. That was really the highlight of the whole Splinter Fest for me, right? I don't know if you guys heard the story about what he did, right? But he gave up his competition slot to one of the guys that came from Asia, from Japan.
Yeah.
Right. So that was Half Blue, right? And so like think about that. Like in any other community, imagine someone coming to the World Series of Poker saying, "Oh, I just flew in from Asia and I didn't register in time," and someone saying, "Oh, well, don't worry about it. Here, take my spot." Yeah. That's literally what happened. Right? like who does that? What community?
What a classy move, man. What a classy move.
And but here's the thing. I wasn't surprised, right? Like after I met him and hung out with him, I just totally wasn't surprised. Yeah. And I was like, of course he did. Of course he did. So that was cool. That was super cool. Seeing everybody the first night. I mean, we all went to go get pizza that night, right? The place was packed. Like it was packed full of Splinterlands players, and
was it Magic Pizza? Did you guys go to Magic Pizza?
No, it was called a Slice of Pizza.
A Slice of Pizza.
Yeah. So and my son was there. So my son's in the Air Force, and so he played a little Splinterlands at first, but he's like, "Dad, like it's too hard, and I'm gonna go back to play League of Legends." And so, but he's in the Air Force, right? So he came to meet me out there, and he was a little bit of a celebrity. He couldn't believe that his old man, I'm an old man, right? His old man was doing something so cool. And then when he walked into the arena, he was like, "This is the real deal." And I'm like, "Yeah, man." And just the week before, they had done a huge League of Legends tournament in the same location, right? And he remembered seeing it. And he's like, "You're going to be here competing in this arena?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." Nice. So that was a good bonding thing. And Las Vegas was a perfect place to do it. But I look forward to interacting. So again, Philippines has a special place in my heart for how crypto friendly they are, gaming culture, all of that stuff, right? And that's how a lot of them got through is through the pandemic was generating revenue through playing the games, right? I have a great deal of respect for them. So I want to learn more. I want to learn how they were able to do it and how it transformed their lives, and I just want to talk to people. So yeah.
I wonder what the percentage of the player base do come from the Philippines.
I would say a lot.
Yeah. Sorry, I took the quick question because you mentioned Walking Keys, and I was listening to his stream yesterday with Gank, and like listening to you yesterday and listening to Keys. Like obviously you clicked really well, but I just got from you guys was so high, and it was just from the energy that you got from Splinterfest. But he said you bought him a couple of drinks, and he said I don't know what it was, but it was the best drink he ever had. So I just want to know what was that drink?
Oh, so I believe the first time we got it was Angel's Envy bourbon. So it's one of my favorite.
Angel's Envy?
Yeah, Angel's Envy. And then we got Old Fashioned. So it was another, bourbon drink, but it was an old fashioned, and that was really good. And they make a good one there, right? I tried to find a smoked old fashioned, but next time, next Splinterfest, I'll bring the stuff and make it myself. But again, it was it was an appreciation for what he had done, right? An acknowledgement. But that for me is a good bonding thing, right? That's as players and as friends to have a pint with each other. I think I know where you guys are from now. So have a pint and talk about things you love and just show appreciation and respect for each other. And that really is the thing I think that personifies the whole experience, right? Is that we were doing something we love, and we had a great deal of respect for each other. And again, I keep bringing it back to this, is we don't always have to agree, right? We don't, right? But we all have a voice, right? and we could all talk about the things and the passion we have. And sometimes I might concede a point just to let you win, right? Just let you have, have the thing that's important to you.
That's such a beautiful sentiment for not just this game, but life and community right there, right? Like it's okay to have disagreements, but the most important and driving piece there is that we can come together and talk about it and agree to disagree and move forward, right? So great point there. Looking forward to Philippines Splinterfest 2023, and we'll have to count on you to bring the Angels Envy. I doubt that there's a bar in the Philippines that serves that stuff. Could be surprised. But so looking at some of the other big kind of highlights from Splinterfest, what are your thoughts on Lux Vega? Are you going to be getting that? And is she going to be a regular rotation in your deck?
So Jim, so that's Dwayne's buddy. Jim asked, it was such a great way that he actually directed the question to Matt, and he said, man, what were you thinking? Right? Like it's great that it's neutral, but the stats are underwhelming, right? So it has +1 shield, +1 speed, +1 health, right? And so, but here's the thing, right? I was a fan of it as soon as I saw it, right? I was straight a fan because of its versatility, right? That's the key with Lux Vega. But what Matt said was interesting, right? And I agree with him 100%. So he said, look, there were very few promo cards like this one. There aren't any, right? There are 6 core attributes. So there's +1 to melee, +1 to range, +1 to magic. There's already a card that has the first 3 of those attributes, which is Archmage Arius, right? There wasn't one with the other 3 attributes: armor, speed, and health. Lux Vega provides that, right? It's the other attributes, right? Mm-hmm. And similar to Archmage Arius, it has a versatility where you can use it with multiple splinters, right? So I believe, again, there are now 2 cards that have that level of versatility. Now, not everybody has Archmage Arius, right? It's a very rare card, but there'll be at least 1,000 of these cards, and I absolutely plan on getting it for a couple of different reasons, right? It's a neutral card, which instantly allows you to have a maxed out summoner for every splinter. That's priceless in and of itself. Mm-hmm. And before the stats were released, I was saying, I don't really think it needs any stats, right? It's already good with just that, right? Just that is fine. The stats were bonus, right? Because if they come out and said, hey, there are no stats, it's just a neutral summoner that you can use with any, maxed out with any splinter, that's priceless, like priceless. And so, and again, if people don't realize it now, they will, right? They will. And so think about the new player or even the old player that hasn't had an opportunity to max out for certain splinters. That card will be great. Think about delegating that card to a new player, right? Rather than sending them everything. So I first started delegating after Sam. I had to send in the entire, every splinter, the summoner and cards to go along with it, right? It was tough, right? Like, because again, these are great cards, and again, they were very effective. But think about now, if I had to do that, if I had Lux Vega, I could send Lux Vega and I could send 6 neutral cards and say, hey, you do the rest, right? You can rent cards or whatever. It becomes a lot less pricey, right? And you can experiment and have synergies and combinations that we've not seen before. So, Kelia, if you think about it, Kelia, it's a Kelia with a little bit of health, right? That's really what it is. And so think about how a oppressive Kelia can be, or how actually not oppressive. She's not oppressive. She's just really good. But now I have a Kelia that I can send to any Splinter. I don't even know what that's going to look like. Yeah. Right? 6 months from now, we'll be like, oh my God, best card ever.
I think it takes a time for people just to see it in action, right? And just see its value. I wonder what was like when people first saw Blight. I can't remember. Was it a bit of negative or no?
People knew he was going to be OP immediately.
Yeah, we knew. When I saw it, right? So there were multiple iterations of it at first, right? They tweaked it a little bit, but no matter how they tweaked it, they left the core things there, right? And that card is ridiculous, like utterly ridiculous. It wins games just by itself, right? So
yeah.
If you just think of the combination, and one of my favorite abilities is Affliction. I love Affliction. So
yeah. So like with Splinterfest, I was just wondering, like, just from someone, because we were on the outside, right? And the thing I was really looking forward to were the tournaments. And I don't know, I just had this big idea that everything was going to be in this big arena and it'd be like, but maybe I didn't imagine there'd be so many people involved in the tournaments. But it just, like, towards the end, like I saw Walking Keys of the video, I think, of the big final.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just felt like it should have been in the main theater. So like, what are your thoughts on that, like from someone that was in the inside?
So I made it. I only competed the first day. I got knocked out. So I didn't make the top 16. In fact, I was knocked out by Virus.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it was him, right? Yeah. And he didn't actually beat me. It was a draw. So I was like, oh, well, okay. Okay. So, but again, excellent player. So I would say, this is constructive criticism, right? If they had sold all of the tickets and everyone had showed up, it would have been pure pandemonium, right? There would have been no way to effectively have the people submit their teams. In fact, people would have probably had to go back to their rooms and use their personal computers to do it, right? Which was possible. And some people did do that, right? Because there weren't computers. I actually went on the outside. So there are computers on the outside, computers in the arena. And so I found one of the free ones outside and I was able to submit my team. I think for the qualifiers, it was fine, right? Once they got it down to the 16, that was awesome, right? Because they took them to the green room and they took pictures and they did all that stuff. It felt like a real tournament. And then after, it was in that kind of arena area, but there were free computers by then. So they would go and put their teams in. By the time they did the final battle, I was already, I had to go to the airport, right? But I heard that was a nail biter, like all the way to the end. That was crazy. So, so to answer your question, I think the team was a bit surprised at how many people were, wanted to participate and what that actual participation would look like. I think there was some concerns from the people that weren't there. Hey, how come you guys aren't streaming a lot of this? I don't believe that was ever the intention. Right. I think that it was a standing room only. They recorded everything. So you're going to see some content. Right. But I think, if you think about it, do you want to have a live event where you're charging a premium and then you stream it all over the world? Right. Yeah. So I understand why they did what they did. And I don't think I would change that. Right. It was an exclusive event. However, I think what they should do going forward is create Splinterfest specific events for the people that aren't there, that even the people that are there can't participate in, right? It's a virtual event. And so there's a tournament. There could have easily been a tournament for you guys, right? That would have had prizes that were substantial.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't know if you saw Darkestnyte, but Yue, one of the other big Japanese guys, created wanted to go to Splinterfest tournament.
There you go.
And it was the biggest turnout of Splinterfest or Splinterlands tournaments that I've ever seen. I think he had close to 700 people in the tournament.
Oh my wow. God. So there you go.
It was massive. So in the opening round, I think it was bronze level. I just get destroyed at bronze. I'm so far removed from bronze at this point, and UA and Team Japan, they just completely steamroll folks. But in the opening round, I think I had to submit 30 battles, that's 32 awesome. Battles. Wow. But yeah, man, like 700 people turned up for this tournament. But yeah, back to your point. I think I must have misunderstood, and Kieran and I were kind of talking about this off air. I felt like the Splinterfest tournaments were meant to be kind of a big pitch to non-Splinterlands players to create and generate that interest into the game. Maybe I.
No, but then that was, I mean, there weren't a lot of people that were non-players there, right? Because if that would have been the case, they would have had, a new player, tournament or something like that. No, I mean, it was a diamond and gold. So that's not new players, right? So, no, I don't think that was the I think it was to just bring people together, play the game.
Celebrate the community.
Celebrate the game. You got it. And again, mission accomplished from that perspective, so.
But Ben, did you mean like people from to encourage new players to kind of join the game?
Yeah, I thought so. My understanding was that it was going to be streaming on Twitch as a big, hey, look at what we've put together. We've got this awesome tournament with some of the best players in the game. Look at what the game looks like at the highest levels. Blah blah blah.
That was a missed opportunity. I mean, for sure. So to your point, right? I think that could have been, but I don't think it was like lightning in a bottle, right? I don't think that Weirdbeard and Aggro, I don't think they knew what was going to happen, right? I think there was a little bit of, okay, this thing is working. This thing is great. Everybody's having a good time. I mean, because Aggro kept asking me, like, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, and I told him one time, I said, man, you see the smile on my face? So yeah, but there was a little bit of, at first, uncertainty that says we're doing it, right? And I think once people realized that it was a success, and I don't think people realized it was a success until maybe Saturday night, and we're all hanging out and everybody's cheering and going crazy, and to see Luthien and Aftersound in that booth and they're commentating and stuff like that. I mean, it was legit. It was really legit. But again, if it's your first time, you don't know. Aftersound asked me, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. He said, hey, what would Splinterlands be? What would a success look like to you? And I said, man, 50 people showing up would be perfect. That would be good. And I mean, that's all I would need to see. It's 50 people. And we had almost 10 times that there, right? So there were a few non-players, right? I think the number, the total was, I think maybe 450. That's a lot of people, right? I mean, the place was packed. So I think you can sell tickets, but then you say, well, were people going to show up? There's a better way of thinking about it. We're all collecting assets. These assets cost money. We paid for plane tickets. We paid for hotels. We used our time out to coin Dwayne, time and attention, right? We invested something that didn't directly result in an asset that we would take back with us. Think about that, right? I could have taken, the money I invested, I could have bought some more cards, more packs.
Yeah.
That just speaks to the power of the community though, right? Like, that was when you're kind of reflecting on Splinterfest and you're telling these stories, your biggest smile is coming from, those conversations you had with Aggie and Matt, like getting to finally meet your good buddy Aftersound and shaking hands with the guy who you got kicked out of the tournament with, Virus, it's that personal interaction, and you can't that's priceless stuff. And the fact that this game has served as a platform to lead to all of those things is just, that's such a powerful testament of this game and the community.
Absolutely. So did you, I don't know if you saw this on Aftersound. So about 6 months ago, It was at a town hall. Aggro said he was going to make us waffles. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
So we were at breakfast, and Aggro was at a table just next to us, right next to us, and they were doing a meeting, right, prep meeting for all stuff, right. And I looked at After Sound, I looked at Walking Keys, and I said, "Didn't Aggro say that he was going to make us waffles?" and everybody started smiling, and they said, "Yep, he sure did." So I said, "Hey, Aggro, didn't you say you're going to make us waffles?" And he looked at me and he said, and I said, "You know." So I was just messing around, right? But I really, my goal was to tell him that I remembered that, right? That was an obscure little reference in one of the town halls, right? We could have remembered a million other things, but I remembered the waffles. And so when they got up and they said, "Hey guys, we're gonna go and get set up and stuff like that," and I can't remember his name, but one of the other executives came up to him and said, "Hey, by the way, I just want to let you guys know, Aggro took care of your breakfast."
Wow.
And we were like, "What?" I have to do that, right? But that, again, that was part of the community, right?
Yeah.
So,
I saw like last week on the podcast, it's such a great quote from Aggie. And like just at the end of the show, we were saying, I just want to say thank you. So approachable in the community. We were able to kind of make our feelings known to you, and we know that you're listening. And then he just came out with this amazing comment about the king and the servant. I don't know if you familiar with it, but he said, like sometimes he's the king of the company, but only for that little bit. But for the most part, he's the servant to the community. So, pardon the pun with serving up pancakes, but it just reminded me of that.
No, but it's perfect, right? Like some of the best leaders don't lord over with their leadership, right? They lead, right? And really the purpose of that is to get us to the destination. We all know what the destination is, right? Where our assets are just pumping, and we're having a great time, and we've built a community. And I say this maybe once a month. Imagine when land comes out and you're able to, I'm going to keep it positive. Imagine when land comes out and you're able to walk through your land in virtual reality. Right?
Yeah.
And you're able to interact and maybe even do battle on your land and challenge people, right? And build an arena and all those things. All those things are possible, right? So, but it's not going to be next week. Right. There are levels to this thing and an evolution to this thing that just takes time. Evolution doesn't happen overnight. Right. It's a progress in a process.
I'd rather them just take their time, make sure everything's good to go. And when it's good to go, they'll put it out, because I trust.
Well, it's also so important to remember there's so many other things happening in the game, in the greater Splinterlands arcade. We haven't even talked about GLS. That's launching this week, right? Yeah. And I guess there was a good little bit at Splinterfest about GLS, and that just kind of felt like a footnote on everything else.
On everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So just kind of looking at Splinterfest in the rear view, it feels like, it sounds like, it's so good to, I know I've said this a couple of times, but it's so good to see the smile on your face as you're talking about this stuff.
I can't even help it.
No, it's awesome. But it feels like the precedent has been set so high for what Splinterfest means to the community and what it does for the game to push it forward. And yeah, I'm just so excited for what's to come. Tell us, so we're about 10 days from Rooney, and we mentioned Rooney at the beginning of the call, and we said it would get back to it in a minute, but we've had quite a few minutes since then. So Darkestnyte, what do you think? What does Rooney mean for Splinterlands? What does Rooney mean for the players? What does Rooney mean for kind of the bigger picture? What's your take on Rooney? Okay, and how many did you FOMO into?
I have to say, so I got 4. I did get 4. And I did it all online, right? So I was on with After Sound, and he knows that when I get quiet, he's always like, "What are you doing?" Nothing. So I got four, but Rooney's our passion project for Matt, for real. He loves this, right? Like Rooney's are like the big deal for him. So what do I think about Rooney's in general, right? Rooney's aren't necessarily for us. Well, they are. I mean, we can play with them and we can put them in a game, and I'm going to do that, right? But Rooney's are for the people that, purchase Bored Apes, right? That go all in, have deep pockets, and they're able to get these generative art pieces, right? With different levels of rarity and all that, all of that. So it's meant to give them, right, the people that are willing to buy them, an opportunity to have an NFT that has a use case, right? You can do something with it. It just doesn't sit in your wallet, right? You can play with it, you can win with it. Stats are excellent. I mean, effectively for me, and I said this, right? Effectively, it's like having a seventh slot for your team, right? Because when it dies, it comes right back.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a seventh slot, man. I mean, if you can use it, if you have a rule set where it's allowed.
Equalizer match. Boom.
Yeah, boom. But even poison, right? Think about that. When it comes back, it's not going to come back poison. Right. So that's going to be a thing, right? How many games will you win, or matches will you win because your Rooney died and then came back and everybody else is dead? You won't have a draw again. Right. So that's crazy. That's like insane. And just, combine it with Lux Vega. And I mean, like, oh man, it's going to be crazy.
You just run a killer neutral squad with Vega, Blight, Rudy.
We talked about that. Yeah. We talked about that. So the key neutral team is, well, of course, Lux Vega. Then we have Quirrell Lurker, Dr. Blight, Supply Runner, because you need a little speed for the Quirrell Lurker. Then you have
Venator
Kinjo to give you
immunity, slow.
Yep, slow, amplify, right? Because because it has the Lurker has thorns, right? And then the last one, Spirit Hoarder, right? It has blind, so it makes things more evasive and can heal. I mean, and that's just a straight neutral team. Straight neutral. So and the last one we mentioned was Tortoisane Chieftain for healing.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I think like with the Rooney though, it's just I'm really looking forward as well as playing it in game, just the utility that it will provide. Because I do believe that, like, if it's Matt's passion and they're so intent on serving the community, I'm just really excited to see the benefits down the road.
I mean, just the ability to use it as a profile picking game, that's going to be huge, right? Right now I have the Splinterlands logo, right? But soon it's going to be my Rooney. You have licensing rights for that Rooney. You can make a Rooney cartoon, right? You can do whatever you want with it. It's yours, right? So from that perspective, I mean, I think we're going to see lots of things come from that perspective.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, so think about it, right? So there's no downside to it. If you get a Rooney and they all sell out, then you have something that's very valuable, right? If not a lot of people buy the Roonies, let's say it's 200 people and they have to burn the rest. Now you have something that's very rare, right? So either way, you're going to win, right? Can't lose. I don't think there's a way you can lose on this one. That's my
and we were able to. Well, a lot of people were able to use their vouchers that were given to us through the game. So at the moment, like I've paid nothing and just need to pay that extra 250, plus a few fees maybe.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Here, would you sell your Rooney for what is it going to be? 0.2 something ETH? Would you sell it for that? No. if you put it on the marketplace, you're going to throw it out there for 3 or 4 ETH, possibly, right? Even if it's 1 ETH, you just quadrupled your money.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, this is a straight win, right? Like straight win. And if you luck up and get a gold one that has any of the legendary, like that's going to be like winning the Splinterlands lottery again. So
again, yeah.
So is that kind of your plan, Darkestnyte? Is one to hold and use for Darkestnyte, and 3 to kind of lottery ticket?
I don't, yeah, maybe, right? So if I get a gold one, that's staying with me, right? Guarantee. Well, no guarantees, but it depends on how valuable it is, right? But I like having valuable stuff like that, right? So one, I'm sure I would delegate. I'm going to see how delegation works with it, right? It's a rare thing. I might give one to my son, right? So because that's value, that's straight value there. That's something you might just hold, right? And then one maybe to sell. It really depends, right? The options are open. I don't feel any real need to, you know, to sell it. However, the hype cycle could, you know, it could be awesome, right? It could be off the charts, and then all of a sudden I have something that's worth, you know, a bunch of money, and maybe I will sell it.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of what that utility is going to look like for in-person stuff. You know, so Rooney will be out and in the wild for subsequent Splinterfests. I wonder if Rooney is going to be, you know, this is your VIP ticket to Waffles with Aggie. You know, who knows? Who knows, man?
Absolutely. Yes.
And did you hear anything about? I heard a little bit of chatter around, you know, because there's 6 aspects of the Rooney, right? Whether it's face or weapon, backgrounds.
So we talked with Matt directly. He came and hung out and talked with us about it specifically, like me, After Sound, Walking Keys. Literally, we specifically that's how we know it's his passion project, right? And he's super hyped on it.
Yeah, so about those 6 kind of unique aspects, I heard something that they're going to be interchangeable, so you can have a Rooney and then swap certain components.
So that's a future feature. It's not going to be at the beginning. Yep.
So
we specifically said
that. Yeah, I was going to ask because Ben mentioned before about GLS, and they were discussing it in Splinterfest, but I saw a stream. I don't know. I think you were on it actually, and After Sound said something that just like blew my mind. Like he actually said that he believes that in the future that Splinterlands will be the smallest project of all the projects that Splinterlands are developing. Like that just blew me, because Splinterlands is like, for me, it's just like, you know, maybe at the moment my world is revolving around it and everything is like Splinterlands. But yeah, when he said that's
scale.
Yeah, that's a hell of a statement.
Right. So think about how many people that love football, right, that are out there that are going to participate in GLS, other projects, right? We have tower defense that's coming out, right? I mean, people love tower defense games like that, right? They showed that off at Splinterfest. It looked cool, looks super cool, right? Looks fun, right? Something that while I'm waiting for my ECR to recharge, I'll be playing some, you know, tower defense.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think that they are looking at really expanding the products they have, and I think it's a good thing, right? Some people will find their way to Splinterlands. Most will stay right where they are. But, right? It's all about affinity. I have an affinity towards, you know, fantasy games and stuff like that. But I wouldn't expect that other people would like that. Maybe they just like their football.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it's what it will do is grow the value of, you know, SBS. Right. And grow the demand for it. So that's, I mean, rock and roll, whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that's the of all the side projects, I think GLS is the one I'm really interested in. And, you know, I love football, but just the topics that they've discussed, like with arenas, about
Yeah.
if you buy an arena, you can, possibly put some advertising on there. Just like the
Oh yeah.
possibilities they are talking about.
Endless. Endless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually won the contest that they had for giving out
Oh.
the packs. Yeah. So when it gets released, give my packs. So yeah.
Nice. How many packs did you get in
20.
the 20? Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we'll see. Maybe matter of fact, I know we'll do an opening online and on stream and take a look at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of opening packs, did you open up your physical card packs from the?
Yeah.
You did.
I did. They're around here somewhere. I think. Oh, you know what? I think they're still in my bag. But yeah, I did. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I could go. I'm sure I could find them if I need to. But yeah, it wasn't anything like super spectacular. I got one rare card. It was the fire. Hold on, let me look real quick because I'll remember. I don't remember every name. It was.
Have people been selling them? Has anyone seen them
Oh,
online or?
I haven't looked, right? I got a shiny Antoid platoons. I guess we would call them a gold version. So foil version, that's what it was. So a foil version Antoid platoon, which was super cool. Which is interesting. I see that is a in-game that's a common, but in the pack it was a rare. So I just realized that. Interesting. But they look super cool. I put them in card holders. I'm going to save them. One of the other cool things, you guys will like this. So each of the team had their business cards with them as cards.
Okay.
So we had to go and collect them from each of the members, right? So if you guys give me a second, I can go find them. I think you guys will get a kick out of that. So give me a second.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
Here we go. So I'm gonna take them out. Just give me a second. It's crazy.
They're going to be so rare as well, right?
Oh God, I hope so. So these ones are not. So I have my glasses. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. All right. So aggroed. Can you see that?
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Push and shove. There isn't enough for. Of course, his card says that.
Yes.
Nice.
So that's Aggie. I have. So here's Hardpoint.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome armor too. Another aggro. He actually gave me two. So. Yeah. Nodes 101.
Yeah, I saw that. Who is that?
He was. I don't remember exactly. Oh, I think he was one of the support executives, if I remember correctly. I don't remember.
So they made a card for every single member of the team.
Yes.
Wow.
His Grapthar.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I don't know what this is. Oh, these were two cards. These are the ones that After Sound was handing out.
Oh, that is sexy.
Yeah, it's cool. There's another one, right, with the Rift Watchers in it.
Hey, there's the girl Kai.
Yeah, there's I think the other ones are in a holder, right? So I put them all in the holder. These are the only ones that were in my my badge, my Splinterlands badge. So I'll send you. I'll scan them in and I'll send you guys pictures of them.
Nice.
Sweet.
So,
did you get a chance to meet and chat with Cryptomancer?
I did multiple times. Yes. So he's funny. So I saw him a couple of times, and I walked up to him and I said, "Man," because he was always eating when I saw him, and I said he was here with his wife and his daughter, and I said to his daughter, I said, "You didn't know your dad was a rock star, did you?" And she's like, "I had no idea." So, yeah. And then yeah. So yes, I actually twice we just chatted. He's a super cool dude.
I bet
Awesome.
he's pushing for Splinterfest Japan, actually.
maybe he didn't. We didn't talk about that, but yeah, I mean, I think that's where his wife is from.
That's where they live, right? If I'm,
yeah,
I think it's my understanding that was the first time Cryptomancer had actually met in person a lot of the Splinterlands team.
That was the same. A lot of people said that, right?
So cool.
Weird Beard said that a couple times. He had never met some of the other people. But I mean, totally remote, virtual working, right? So, which I can relate. I've been doing that for 20 years, so it's great. So fantastic.
Weird Beard was amazing. Like what a presenter for the tournament.
So there's a little bit of a story there, right? So that really became Weird Beard's like baby, right? So and Agrid actually told me this. So he said one of the challenges of handing responsibility off to someone else, it's your baby, right? And it requires an act of trust. And he specifically said, I trust this guy with a thing that I built, and he just gave him, the full run. And I got to say, that was actually one of the cooler things, right? Because Weird Beard made me specifically feel very welcome, right? Like I got there Friday night, he was working on something. I was just going to go hang out with Aftersound, and he saw me and he knew who I was. And he said, "Hey man, let me show you around." And he was like super energy. And he literally dropped what he was doing and just took the time to show my son and I around. And just the fact that he did that, that's something I will never forget, right? It was just, he wasn't too busy to interact with the people there, and like he never stopped the whole time, right? He did all the presenting, he made sure everything ran great. He was an escalation point, right? So he was able to handle issues and problems and just all that kind of stuff, and things that you would expect a good leader to do, given the hundreds of people that were there all wanting something, right? Everybody wanted something. So he handled all of it like phenomenally, like a trooper.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, he was dressed like a dandy as well. He looked really like he had a little bow tie, but really cool shirt. But I think that's amazing because I know from listening to him and speaking to him, we were privileged to chat with him one day as well. But he was like, there's a lot of pressure, right? Because
absolutely,
it's the thing that lots of people are pinning their hopes on to kind of help push Splinterlands to the next level, right? So for him to take that time out for you that's great.
Phenomenal. Was that lightning?
No, it's a neighbor with a drill.
Really?
I've been trying to mute my microphone so it's not coming through, but for the sake of the podcast, let's just call it lightning and thunder.
It's either that or Ben just banging with his broom on the ceiling.
I'll drive over. I'll have a word.
Hey, I just want to ask you, we hear all these amazing stories about how Splinterlands has changed people's lives for the better. Like how has Splinterlands changed your life?
So I'll tell you how I got into Splinterlands, right? So I used to play Magic the Gathering for years, since the 80s. Was it the 80s? Maybe 90s. Since Beta 3. And so I love Magic. I love playing trading card games. I played tons of them. But I was playing Magic the Gathering Arena, right? It was their new version of it. And I'm really good at it. And my buddy that I would play with just one day said, "You know what? I'm not playing with you anymore." And to this day, he still has not. So I'm like, what am I going to do now? Like, who am I going to play with? I could play with random people, but I don't want to really do that. And literally that same day, there was an advertisement for Splinterlands on the Brave browser.
Wow.
And so I said, "Oh, card game. Let me try it out." And so I played for about 6 months. I didn't know anything. I didn't know combination of cards, like what combining cards would do and leveling cards up. I was just playing, right? Playing it bronze and silver and having a good time. And then I joined my guild, Archmage Arius, because I figured I need to join a guild and start interacting with people. I felt like I was playing good enough, but I was just buying assets. Assets were super cheap, like very cheap.
Can you give us a time frame? When was this?
December 2020.
Okay, so this was Untamed was on the shelves at this point.
Yeah, Untamed was still out there. And in fact, I didn't even know that you could ever sell out of a set. I had no idea, right? Dice was still hanging out a little bit, but eventually I figured out that something was going on, that they were going to be selling out with these packs, right? So I started, buying some. I bought a bunch. They weren't very expensive, right, at the time. I think they were maybe $2. And so I just bought a bunch, and I would get legendary, but the thing was, my guildies told me, said, "Hey man, you need to level up your deck." And I was like, okay, how do I do that? And so they pointed me to the little combine button, and they explained what it did. And I was like, oh, okay, so maybe that's why I'm getting my butt kicked. And so, and so I started looking at dragons a little bit more. I love dragons, right? And then death, I built my death deck, and I love that. And I picked up, I think Lord of Darkness was like $10 or something like that. So I maxed it out, and I started maxing out all the other cards, but I was only maxing out cards that I thought had great artwork and would look cool as part of my team, right? So and it's funny because I was heavy into lore. Like so some of the cards I bought were because the lore was really cool. So for example, I maxed out my corrupted Pegasus, and in the corrupted Pegasus lore, it says, oh, one of the few cards in death that can actually heal. And I said, that could be pretty useful. Didn't understand, like I had no idea of synergies and none of that stuff, right? But I said, oh, a healing death guy, like, yeah, there aren't any. So I just happened to pick it up, and it was cheap. It was like $2 or something like that, something crazy. And so I bought the cards, and then one day, I'm telling you all this to kind of answer your question, right?
Yeah.
So one day, one of my guildies goes, it's out of the blue. This was last, I think, August. It went right before everything popped off. And he goes, hey man, have you checked the value of your collection? And I was like, how do I do that? And so he directed me to Peak. Now all these things are normal things for me, right? But he said, hey, you got to go to Peak Monsters. And I was like, what? And so I logged into Peak Monsters, and literally when you log in, it says, hey, here's the value of your collection. And I literally said, what the holy heck? But there's another story to that, right? So when I got in, I was just fresh getting into crypto. I was crypto crazy. And I was like, I can play a game to get more crypto in my wallet. And so I was like, yeah, this is great. And so when I started out, I said, well, I thought the economy during the pandemic was going to completely collapse. And I said, man, if I can make enough crypto for a cup of coffee and a bowl of soup, I could play Splinterlands while I'm in a soup line, waiting with thousands of other people waiting to get some food. And I mean, again, I'm a little bit of a prepper. So I literally thought like, oh, this is definitely going to happen. And so my guildies, they knew that story, and they said, yeah, I bet you can get maybe a little steak with that soup now. I mean, because it had absolutely popped off so much. Like, it was crazy. And then I think that's what brought you guys in, right? Like, whoa, these assets are like crazy. But the problem is, my personal opinion, right? Buying at that pump stage was, a lot of people got burned on that, because that was like the highest it was, and now we're in the crash, right? So a lot of people got disillusioned and left the game, and they were really pissed and said, but it's the effect of the bear market, right? That's what happens in a bear market. You lose 90% of your value. But the hope that I have is that these assets will again pump just the way they did, but this time I'll be ready. And I've been accumulating assets, right? I've not slowed down. I haven't stopped, right? There are cards that I know are going to be awesome that every new player is going to want to have. Well, what are those cards? I mean, you know them because we use them now, right? A Pellicor Bandit is a card that you see all the time, right? Every player is going to need that card. Well, they're a penny now, right? So actually, there's even a better card. Pellicor Mercenary is very similar to what's that other regen card that's green? It's an older.
Is it the card. Golem? The bone golem? Flesh golem.
Flesh golem. Flesh golem was pennies, right? Now it sells for like $1 each, right? And probably more now. So let's put up
100x, a cool 100x.
Man, isn't that what crypto's supposed to do?
Mm.
So we keep seeing this over and over again in this game. No one has to convince me about what's going to happen. I've seen it too many times, right? So actually, you know what? It's even a better one. So one of my guildies every day would buy a couple of wood nymphs for like pennies, right? Very similar to Crystal the Crystal Wavesmith, I think it is, the one that heals for white. And you can get those for pennies now, right? But those cards, right now, Flesh Golem is $2.33.
Wow.
Right. So
I bet it was a lot more than that, right? In that boom, I bet it was going for like close
ish, right? So I think actually I'm surprised to see it as high as it is right now, to be honest. Okay. I think it might have gotten like maybe around $6 or something like that. So think about something you've been buying for pennies and had an opportunity. That was a rewards card, right?
Yeah.
You had an opportunity to buy tons of them. They were everywhere. People would burn them. They would burn them for deck, right? And now they're $2.33. So
blasphemy, man. Burning them.
Yes, they were. I mean, it was crazy. So think about that. You bought 10,000 flesh golems for a penny, and then you turn them around and sell them for $1 each.
Yeah,
it's happening now, right? It's happening now. So every couple of days, I'll buy some cheap 1 penny cards, right? Because even if they don't sell, right? If the price of the underlying assets goes up, I'll burn them for SPS. Right? So either way, I'm going to get some value. Right? But burning cards is something, when I hear people talk about burning packs and stuff like that, I would say, no. We don't need to burn anything, right? So, but I mean, there's a value there.
So I did want to ask you about that. So we, as I know during Splinterfest, they were talking about the potential for Rebellion kind of setting the tone for what the future of sets with Splinterlands looks like. And it's either going to be, just a random number, say 12 million packs or 9 months on the market.
Yep.
So what is that? I think that's a fantastic mechanic for future sets. I like dictating the amount of time, and you know how long it's going to be on the shelves, what that year looks like. But for Chaos Legion, it was a bit like I think Hardpoint equated it to Matt essentially just throwing a dart and saying, "Hey, 15 million sounds like it's that's going to get us for about a year on shelves." And to be fair, the team, I think it's probably going to come pretty close, give or take a few months. But I saw Aggie post something yesterday in Mav chat. I don't know if this came across your purview yet, but he mentioned burning Chaos Legion packs would not be out of the question for him. What do you think about that?
Not a fan of burning assets, right? Because you can devalue what's already out there. Just make it not available for sale, right? We're already giving away packs as rewards, right? So just take them off the shelf, bring them back in a year, right? Or give them out as rewards for tournaments and stuff like that, right? I'm not that burning cards or packs is a one-way trip, right? And I don't think that's necessary. right? You just limit access to them. I think that's fantastic, right? And in 2 years, if you're opening up, you're opening up a chest and you get a Chaos Legion pack, you're gonna be like, woohoo, right? You're gonna be like, that's awesome. There's no rush to destroy anything, right? Because it's, again, you can't get them back once they're gone.
Well, I feel like that's the key, right? Like there is no rush, and it's so important to. So let me back up a second and just say that I was keen to understand the logic behind burning the packs, and maybe it feels like we're getting a longer and longer time frame between airdrops. The time between the what's his face, the Carnage Titan and Grandmaster Wraith was about 5 months. The time between Grandmaster Wraith and Jasek was a few months. Who knows the time between now and the next one? And then we've still got a few more beyond that. But when you're looking at Chaos Legion and the success of this set from a purely business perspective versus Untamed, which was the previous big set, and it was 1.5 million packs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and that took almost 2 years to sell out, right? And this is Chaos Legion is 15 million packs, and we are closing in on 11 million in less than 10 months of regular general sale. Is that right?
Yeah, I think they nailed it, right? I think they nailed the amount. The problem is people want a return on their investment, right? Regardless of whether they're players or not, they have assets, and they know that now that they have the assets, right, they want to increase the scarcity. They want it to be more scarce, right? Right now, the Chaos Legion is not scarce. Because cards are selling for a penny.
I think you got to start singing that Varuk Assault song.
Exactly. I want it now.
Yes. I think we have to consider the new players coming to the game, even players like myself. Like I'm kind of in the process of leveling up Diamond, but if suddenly all these cards are taken off the market, it's like, well, then the chance for me to get my cards level to Diamond, and I'm talking about even people in Bronze, and because it's not possible for everyone to throw $5,000 into the mix at the beginning. People do it, even like me at the moment. I'm being very frugal with my spending, and I'm using assets in the game to kind of, when something comes, like I sell something, I'm able to kind of build up my deck. So I think the new players and the players that are building up their decks have to be considered before any burning is done.
So I'm a big advocate for that, right? So when Untamed sold out, and again, I had my cards, right? The cards that I wanted to have. That was a terrible time in Splinterlands, right? Because new players, the only place they could get card were during that time overpriced cards on the marketplace. Yeah, so and you wanted to play, and you got bit by the Splinterlands, and that sucked, right? Because like I had friends that joined, they're like, "Yo, when are packs coming?" And then Dice, right? Once I realized what Dice was, it was a sold out. Like I remember, just grabbing some decks so I can buy the Dice packs, and literally I got like 2 Dice packs, and they were sold out like within minutes. Right. And I was like, what the heck just happened here? and then to make it even worse, my lore came out from Dice, and it was oppressive. Like it was everywhere. And the people that were winning everything had my lore. Right? I don't have a my lore. Right. So but I made my choices of what I did buy. My favorite, because it was death, was Oster Rotwell. And I bought it for a very expensive price. And guess what? Sorry.
Yeah. But like when that happened to you, and you said like you bought those Dice packs, but did something then click with you with the game?
Yes.
The scarcity, right?
Scarcity. At that point, I realized what was happening. Because no one ever talked to me about scarcity, right? Like I played Magic, right? There's always Magic cards, right? There's always packs to buy. There's never not any packs. But like Magic, different sets rotate out. That was a piece that had not clicked until that moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's going to be something. Yeah, going back to kind of like buying cards and new players coming to the game. Yeah, I was at the time. I buy like 10 Pelika Conjurers every day, 10
Yes.
Bandits every day. But I kind of stopped doing that. But I don't know. I think there's something in me because I just don't know down the line how many new players will come into the game and how those prices will kind of go.
We could not have predicted what did happen, right? I could not have predicted what happened last year. I had no expectation that, hundreds of thousands of people were going to come into the game. I also couldn't have predicted the bear market that would follow. Well, probably could have predicted that, but we know it's coming, right? It's just a matter of when. So it's all a cycle, right? So what happens when the fear and greed index for crypto goes to 65, right? That means everybody loves crypto and we're back. And people are going to look to, and I have a test, right? When I think Splinterlands is going to pop off, it's when my mom is calling me, asking me about crypto, or my brother or my sister, family and work friends.
Yeah.
When I start getting those phone calls like, hey, I'm going to invest in crypto, I know that everything's about to pump up again.
Yeah.
Right now, no one's asking, right? But they will.
I have the opposite. When like I meet some people and they're saying, "Are you still into crypto?" I'm like, "Yeah, kind of doing a few things," and they're saying, "You've got to sell now. You've got to sell now." So when I start hearing people telling me I need to sell, that's when
let's buy another node.
Yes, you guys have a note. You guys have notes.
We do.
Yeah,
full noters.
I love it. Yeah, I love my note. So I'm waiting. So Matt talked about that a little bit with us too. So they're working on the software for that. And so my plan is I'm going to get one of those small microcomputers, and then I'm going to hire a sculptor to make it look like an actual node from the website.
Oh, badass, man! I love that.
Glow. Yeah, it's gonna glow. It's got like lights and stuff like that, right? So it's gonna glow, and just glow.
Man, you got to get some 3D printing instructions for that, and put that online. I would definitely find a 3D printer to hire out here and get that for us.
See, so I've been talking about buying a 3D printer, and man, you just hit that nerve. Like, okay, I need to. Man. So, and actually, that was one of the things, right? The community is creating different things, right? So, like one of the guys there, what was his name? Not Anubis. Was it Anubis?
The wooden cards.
The wooden cards. Yeah, no, it wasn't Anubis. It wasn't Anubis.
Wooden dwarf, I think, is who I see on Twitter.
No, it's an Angry Chipmunk. I'm sorry, it's Angry Chipmunk. Right. So I just had to go through all the names that I met over the last 2 weeks, and he's super talented, right? I got one of the Jin. Hold on. The
Chihuahua.
No, it was Jin. Man, I hate having to look through it. Renova. Yeah, so it looked really cool. Now I would have preferred the death one, of course, because that one is super cool. But I can always reach out to him and he can make me one. So yeah.
Speaking of from one death fan to another, there's been a lot of really good stuff coming to death, and there's been a lot of people that have been poo-pooing on Dallin. Yeah. What's your take on death, current state of death, modern Rift Watchers, Dallin?
So Dallin's trash. Yeah, I mean the artwork is phenomenal, right? I wish his ability were better than Cripple, right? But here's the thing, right? I don't think enough people are playing. So I'll tell you honest what I think. I think Dallin is underpriced, right? It's definitely lower than it should be. Because there is a use for Cripple. Can't be cured anymore, right? So you're literally whittling away health. And you can't get it back, right? So that's a one-way trip. Artwork phenomenal. I think that we just need to understand better the metal. So Double Strike is phenomenal, right? So we have Ra. I haven't really used it. I have Ra, but I haven't really used it. because I'm more focused on Dragon right now. There's just the combo with Kitty and the Lurker is just too strong, right? But Death in general, it's not so good at lower levels, right? So at gold, yes, gold and below, but really in Diamond and Champion, it's really good, right? Especially if you know how to use it. In Wild, it's fantastic, but even in Modern, it's fantastic, right? Like if you look at one of the cheapest reward cards, right? What's his name?
Deceiver.
No, not Deceiver. It is just the tank. Damn, I can't believe. Oh, Harklaw. Harklaw. Woohoo! Harklaw's fantastic. But the reason why it's 97 cents right now for a legendary is because one, it's available, which won't be available for long. But it's probably one of the better tanks out there, right? It has shield. How many other tanks out there that are reward cards have shield on them? None, I don't think. Right, so it's going to take less damage from ranged and melee. Then you combine it with some armor some magic protection in the form of Oster Rotwell, and it's but even better than that. Well, not even better. Just as good is Cursed Wendigo. Oh my!
Oh.
That card is woo, like it's crazy. So combine it with a little bit of with weirding warrior, and it's sick, right? You can shatter armor, you get the amplify,
and rust,
and rust. I mean, it's nutso, right? So so fantastic, and just Curse Windicu's healing. The card that I would love to see for Death. The one thing that would take it over the top would be a card with cleanse on it.
Yes.
Or even a neutral card with cleanse. That would be wonderful. But I don't think they're going to do that, right? That's one of the weaknesses of Death, right? Is you don't get a cleanse. So
or heal, right? Is there a heal for Death?
There was. So there's one. So the the Corrupted Pegasus is the one, and then there's also a triage in the form of
Nightshade.
Nightshade, yes.
Nightshade.
Yes, not Mimosa. It's what's her
Therosa.
You got it. Yep. Yeah. So it's a dice card, right? And yeah, Therosa Nightshade, which is a great card. It's legendary, nice. That card, I mean, again, Death with a triage, but the value of that card drops significantly because of Spirit Order, because it has triage too, and it's neutral.
I wonder if the reason why like Dalian is getting so much stick, and the reason why you don't see, me personally, don't see so many of these Riftwatcher summoners is that people are just not willing to make that investment to level it up, because they are, like Ben mentioned it before, like, because I was asking him, like, is it worth, like, if I don't have these summoners, am I going to be at a disadvantage? But yeah, Ben very correctly said that they're very specific and they just suit certain rule sets, and just to have them in your arsenal is what you were going for, right, Ben?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So I think they are. Right now, we're experimenting with metas, and as I mentioned, Mylor before, but Mylor first came out, like, it wasn't nearly as impressive because, like these cards, people hadn't invested in them. But once they did, they were like, holy crap, and then the price went sky high, right? This will happen with this. This set is relatively small, but if you remember, people were poo-pooing Skargor when it first came out until they discovered the
Skargor Lurker.
Yes, and now Skargor is the most expensive of them. Dalin's the lowest. Well, what happens when Dalin finds his moment, right? Then the price will go up. Ilfane, right? I knew that was going to be a great card because Aftersound was kicking my butt with it on the QA server. Fantastic, right? What I'm really surprised at, though, is how Aquatis just fell off. Right, because it's now right around $4. It was actually one of the higher ones. But I think for each person there's value. I would say this, right? If you are trying to figure out what card or what summoner to max out to play at the higher levels, these are good options, right? They're not very expensive relative, right? They're about the same price as the Chaos Legion, right? Because you need fewer of them. And it was very easy. I'm only missing right now Dallin. And I'll probably buy it this weekend, right? Just to complete my set and to have it, because people will wait for things to reach their low point, but we can't predict when that is. But once they're gone, we already know what's going to happen. Regardless of what bear market or bull market, we already know the price will rise because there's no longer in print. We know this for a fact. Unless
Splinterlands doesn't follow any rules, does it, when it comes to pricing?
Right. You know what's funny about that? So this was something I actually said to Agrode and Aftersound. I said, this doesn't feel like a bear market to me. When I talk about Splinterlands, this is full on bull market, right? Like it feels like that, the euphoria, it's all there. And I'm thinking, this is crazy because when I look at my ETH wallet, I'm like, screw you, Vitalik, right? And so, but I know it's going to go away. But when I look at my collection, there's a sense of pride there that I have, and a sense of I have, these are NFT art, right? And I look at them and the care and the work that's been put into this artwork is phenomenal, right? Just looking at these cards, the new summoners, especially Dallin, just from the art perspective, Fernhard and Dallin are my absolute favorites, right? And I'm going to buy Dallin just for that. And who knows? I may give it away, or not give it away. I may delegate it to somebody and say, hey man, try this card out, right? See if you can figure out how to use it. And that's what I do with Aftersound all the time. And I'll buy a card and say, man, I don't know how to use it. All you. And
but like also there could be a future card or a future ability where suddenly Dallin is like ding dong, everyone's just like FOMOing in.
So on that point, and something, I forget who asked the question, but it was about like a blast rule set, for example. Why does Life Leech apply with blast, but cripple doesn't, shatter doesn't?
Poison doesn't. Waka.
Poison doesn't. So the idea is it's going to be all or nothing. So my thought is, with a blast rule set, cripple should apply across the board, right? And all of a sudden, cripple sees a significant boost, and Dallin, starts trading at $6 a BCX.
So I would love to get a proposal out there for that, because then my Waka will be worth something. Right?
I love Waka, man. I feel like Waka is incredibly underrated. I rent him all the time.
Yeah, I like them too, but you have to know how to use them, right? So how do you use Waka?
You just got to spread the love, man. Scatter shot, somebody going sneak, somebody getting up front.
Yep. So that means you probably like Robin now. Yeah, I haven't used.
I'm hoping we get a good rule set in our challenge, Darkestnyte, and I can.
Want to play them?
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, man.
Yeah. So we could experiment. I would love if you guys were on the QA server. You should ask. I don't know if we're recording this, right? But you should ask one of the guys. Say, hey, we want to be on the QA server, and here's a reason why. Who's the name that we should? Matt. I'll just email Matt. Hold on, I think I got Matt's card right here.
Call in that favor, Darkestnyte.
Well, I don't know if I have a favor. Oh, where's Matt's card? Oh, Matt's card is wrapped. Oh, I made sure that one was safe. So yeah, I'll find Matt's card. But I would ask, right? Again, you guys are, to use Agra's point, you guys are servants of the community, right? You work, oh, here we go. So you guys are servants of the community. We're gonna play, oh, okay.
All right, so the way we do this Darkestnyte is we'll pick our teams and then I'll share the screen and then you and I can talk strategy and watch the battle together. So we've got Silent Summoners, Rise of the Commons, so no epics, no legendaries, 20 mana cap, Fire, Earth, and Dragon available.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. All right, let me just look. Why do I want to do this? All right, let's go here. All right, I think I can handle this. You can't see my screen, can you?
No.
No, I'm messing with it. I need a specific ability. Holding 1 second.
All right, Darkestnyte, I'm submitted. Ready when you are, man.
Yeah, give me a second. I'm doing some things. I have a minute left.
Are you waiting for that 5 seconds before you submit the team?
Yeah, I'm looking at the cards you're playing right now, Darkestnyte.
I know, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, so you didn't get a death. You didn't get a death option.
We will. Okay, so there we go. So,
all right. So let me share my screen.
Oh yeah, don't press play in yours as well, Darkestnyte. Just in.
No, I won't.
Okay, great.
Okay, so Darkestnyte went to
interesting
speed and evasiveness. All right, tell us what were you thinking, Darkestnyte?
So I like speed and evasion, right? I think the Serpentine Warrior is excellent. I got, I have shield. I have dodge, right? So those are all good. So if you eventually hit me, you're going to take. So you're slow-ish, right? I will have some repair from the monkey and as well as speed. My hope for this battle is that my Spark Pixies stuns and keeps on stunning your mercenary. And then if he does get stunned, my firebolt is going to do double damage to you. And then you have, I don't see any stealth, so I did that wrong. So yes, I thought the guy, the Chaos agent, I thought would have been little bit of sneak protection. You kind of did the same thing too. So
exactly the same thing. Yeah. So I'm going for the opportunity. We were talking about this card being underrated and underappreciated, and hopefully we can give him a little bit of a platform to show that off. So the Pelicoy Mercenary is my main tank. Feels like the right call.
In fact, you have a big advantage with your Whelperder. That was something I did not expect. So it's gonna it's gonna nail my Pixie. So
I'm gonna go after in this order, right? Creepy News is gonna go first.
Yep.
Flame Monkey and then Spark Pixies.
So
why
doesn't you're not going to miss? What?
Why? I was going to ask, why does it go for the monkey before the Spark Pixies?
Why equal health?
Yeah, it's equal
and closer to the front of the road.
Okay.
Yep. So but by the time it hits the Pixies, the game will be over, right? So we just got to figure out what that's going to look like.
Well, if you can pull off the stun knockout, then that might not even happen. Stun is such an underappreciated ability, man. I love stun, and fire has gotten so stacked with stun with Rift Watchers now. I think there's 3 or 4 cards in Chaos Legion and Rift Watchers that have stun. Awesome. Okay, so what's your prediction here?
I think you're going to take it. I think you have good speed, right? You have heal and you have retaliate, right? So, and flying, right? So you have a little bit of evasion. I do believe that I will stun you, and if I do, then you won't retaliate. So I think. Well, you know what? We haven't even talked. You have two opportunities. So we only talked about one, but you have two. And any one of those, yeah, you're going to destroy me. Yeah, absolutely going to destroy me. That's my prediction.
I think it just depends. Like you say, if you can get, because your pixies will stun before the tank. Your tank Darkestnyte will hit, right? So I was thinking if your tank hit first, then the armor would be down, and then
which it will. Yeah, it'll go first, right? But you're going to get a retaliate off. So let's just see what happens. And this is not the rule set that we hope we were going to get, right? So we'll have to do this again.
Until I win. Let's see what happens here.
You're not throwing the game already, are you?
No. See, look at that. Didn't even get my stun on, but you missed. So there we go.
Oh, all right.
So
Flame monkey.
If there's a stun,
thorns, yeah.
Okay, now so I've got a little bit of a speed.
Pixies need to.
There's the stun.
There we go.
Let's open it up.
Oh, a miss.
Yeah, I almost need the misses.
Yep. So there we go.
Pixies down.
Miss. All right.
Oh. Do I take this?
I think you do, man.
Oh, is there?
OMG. Yeah, I knew I was going to win that.
Serpentine Soldier is so good with that.
Oh, hang on. That would have been a killer if you lost it then by backfire.
Well played,
hopefully
man.
I did not disappoint.
I did not disappoint, man. I'm disappointed that I didn't get a win, but we didn't get the rule set we were hoping for. So let's
go for one. Let's go for another one.
He's definitely not going to let that one go, man.
Let's do one more.
The stun is so important, isn't it? It's just like if you get that stun, it's a game changer.
Man.
While we were doing this, I was in a tournament and I forgot to submit my teams.
Oh, did the round over? Did you miss?
Yeah, it's okay.
Bummer.
That's all right. Okay.
What tournament was it? Was it the diamond one?
Yes, but and I was waiting till the end, right? Because again, I'm working through my theory, right? So I believe that the tournaments are also impacted by this thing that we were talking about.
Somebody's got to pose that question on Town Hall on Monday.
Ooh, look at this.
All right, so this is a little bit more interesting. So we've got reverse speed, noxious fumes, 34 mana cap, everything but dragon. So that means I won't be seeing Kitty, which I'm happy about. All right.
Enjoy yourself.
Let us see.
Yeah, actually, good.
Reverse speed, noxious fumes.
Reverse speed, noxious fumes.
Mm-hmm.
I think there could be a new Rift Watcher card coming into this game.
I'm not sure what to do here.
With that.
All righty. I am submitted. Okay. Oh boy. All right.
Do you want to oh yeah.
So we were talking about Dallin. I love Dallin for Divine Shield, armor, and poison matches. It gives a little bit of an edge on any potential healing that is there, i.e. Corrupted Pegasus. Unfortunately, Harklaw is immune, so I'm not going to be tossing any cripples on him.
Or poison.
Oh, look at how much immunity is in this battle, though.
That's why I love death for the immunity.
Yup.
Okay, so I went Dallin, Harklaw, Jin Murat, Revealer. I was hoping for a little bit of a stun knockout, similar to what you were pulling last time.
Mhm.
Venari Bonesmith for some life leech and some sustainability, and any poison on any cleansed monsters, and blight because he's a boss.
Yep. Yes. So I usually don't play Blight if I throw Mimosa out there. So it's a great card, and it will I think it'll definitely make the difference. But again, against Hardclaw, almost all of his abilities are non-existent. So we'll see. All right, let's
But
see what we got.
but blights can't poison Heartclaw. Am I right?
You cannot.
No.
He has immunity.
And
So
we were talking
blight,
about the Pegasus guy before, right? The healer.
Right. So he's going to heal up. He's going to keep Blight, Hardclaw up. And I don't see any snipe. You don't have any snipe, so no. So really, your goal is going to be to try to get through Hardclaw as quickly as possible.
so I can get to Almo.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you're gonna go 2-0 today, Darkestnyte.
We'll see.
Let's see. Let's see. Dude, are you a fan of Nightshade? Do you like her as a summoner generally?
Yeah, I don't use her a lot. There we go. Yeah, so I got to get through yours.
Oh, yeah, that void is so solid.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah, I don't even want to watch this Darkestnyte.
Your the magic is
yeah.
Corrupted Pegasus, man. What a great card. Reach, heal, overpower. What is that? Strengthen, flying. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, it has it. It has it all.
Oh, so Blight's got 2 magic again.
So here's where things get interesting. Ooh, nice. Yeah.
Interesting for who, Darkestnyte?
Oh, for me.
Yeah, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to be able to get through Hardclaw.
Yeah, it's a great card.
I suppose that the healer does help a little bit.
Yeah. But so let's talk about that, right? So do you have Tortoise and Chieftain?
I did.
No.
I sold it.
Oh.
You probably sold it to me.
Did you buy it recently within the last month? 6 weeks?
It would have been right before. I don't remember exactly. Not before Rift Watchers. I bought it maybe when Chaos Legion came out.
Yeah, I think I had a handful of I would say fundamental Untamed era cards, and I felt like as a more recent player to the game, it was unattainable for me to go heavy into Untamed dice and that era reward cards, and I felt like the smarter financial play was to sell while I could at a higher price and put everything towards Chaos Legion Rift Watchers. And Rift Watchers, I think that was before we had seen the Rift Watchers cards. And since they had come out, I feel like it was 100% the right call.
Yeah. So I mean, here's an interesting thing, right? Like there are cards in Untamed that I will occasionally buy, but they have to have specific criteria, right? One, they have to be neutral, right? So that I can get multiple value. You can't chase after, what would Tales from the Cryptmancer say? He would say, don't go chasing waterfalls, right? Perfect, right? So you don't want to go chase after those expensive cards, right? Because then you'd have to chase after all of them for multiple splinters. But neutral, that's the reason why neutral cards are so expensive, right? Because you can use them pretty much anywhere. And again, the ability to have a healing card in a splinter that doesn't traditionally have healing is OP, right? Like
Yeah.
there's one card in fire, the Queen Beetle, right? She's a healer for fire. She's the only one, right? There are now 2 cards that do cleanse, right? But you know, again, think about how you would use that card with Magnor and Yasik, right? If you take damage, I mean, you're not expecting to have a heal in fire. So so I use things you try to gain an advantage. Now here's the thing I could not have anticipated, right? I was never a fan of, I think it was I'm gonna say the name wrong, Oculus. Hold on, I'll find it in a second. That lightning is really going. Cornelius. So I was never, again, this was during the time that I really didn't understand the card synergies and even leveling cards up. So to me, it was a neutral card, right? For 10 mana, which I thought was way OP. All right, because I was playing at a lower level, so I didn't have the high mana caps. I just thought, nah, it's not worth it. But it was a healing card, right? But if you look at the stats, as you level it up, it self heals. It has thorns, return fire, and magic reflect. And I'm like, damn. And to your point that you made earlier, there are cards that come out in the future that make it OP. Well, guess what Fernheart did? Fernheart made turn that beast into a tank. Right, and it's hard to get through. It's like almost impossible to get through. And I mean, if you throw an extra heal in, or you throw a cleanse in there too, man, then even if you put affliction on it, I mean, it's a beast to get through.
Yeah, and you just never know.
Yes. So and the price, right? I've been looking at it. So yeah, not $1,000 now, right? That card wasn't $1,000 a couple of months ago. Now I have a level 1, right? But it's too expensive now to level up. But
$1,000 for a leveled up Cornelius.
The lowest one is $982.
Jeez.
Is that just since Fernheart has come out? He's just gone up in price.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, we could check, right? So actually, I have 2. And they're separate. I didn't even combine them, right? And they're both delegated out. To one to a guildie and one to one of my scholar accounts, right? So they're good for people for what they use them for, but the price is just too high. So basically, they're $78 each. Okay. I remember when they were 10.
Wow.
No, not 10. No, 15. So, but now that I have the knowledge that I have, I'm like, oh, why did I not buy that?
Yeah. But now you know, right, for the future.
And I know for the future, right?
Yeah.
And
looking at the lurker at $30 is a steal, right?
Yes. Yep. So that was a story with that. So I forgot who it was. It was Hawks 21. He did a video on it. No, it wasn't them. I think it might have been Tails also. And he was talking about Lurker, and I already saw the value in Lurker. But once he did his video on it with Shargor, I immediately went right then, got the Shargor, maxed out my Lurker, and then sent them both over to Aftersound. But then there was this price insanity, right? The price insanity was going up, it was going down. So someone actually, right after he did his video, someone cleaned out the market and then repriced them at $60. And some sold at $60. I didn't buy one. And then it crashed back down to 20. I bought another Lurker, right? So this is that thing, right? Lurker is going to be one of those cards that we're going to be seeing forever until it rotates out. It's that card, right? And so I never bought a Shield Bearer, right? But this is Shield Bearer, right? This is like the new updated version of Shield Bearer. But guess what? Now it can go into any splinter. And yeah, and just give it some speed. You guys have played against it? You have one, right?
I do.
It doesn't get hit. It's just, if anything hits it, then it's screwed. Combine it with Oster Rotwell, It's cray.
Yeah, I've only got level 1.
So sorry, I am in the South right now. So,
well, I think it's just like a good example, right? When I said to Ben as well, when Jasic came out, like honestly, anything if it came out less than like 30, I was just gonna go for it, because to get a legendary summoner,
exactly.
like I don't know, for me personally, it was a good price.
Yeah.
Not for everyone. Maybe people were waiting for it to go down to 20, but I think I managed to get it for $20 when it first came out.
Yeah, so let me look at it real quick, because I delegated it away, right? Yeah, I have Jotun, right? So I'm not going to pick Jasic over Jotun. Not in most cases, I'm not. However, it's a great card for options, right? To kind of mix things up. But again, I have guildies that can use it, and for me, it was a pickup, because seeing it at $20 now, in a year, it'll be where Jotun is, right? $200, even $100, right? That's still a fantastic price. And so, and I think that's the key with the game. Right now, it's at $23.90 with only 79 on the market. So that means if 7 people want to max it out,
gone.
It's gone. All of them are gone, right? And we've seen that, right? There, even for Scargor, right? There are 97 on the market, right? So how many is that? 2 people get to max it out.
I think with like Scargor as well, is that it just seemed like the packs are being opened up slowly, so there's not many coming onto the market. So for me, that price doesn't feel like it's going to go down anytime soon, unfortunately for me.
Yeah. So, and again, I don't even know what the rental market's looking like, right? So, but here's the thing, right? Even at $23, Jasic is great, right? Because we know it's going to be, eventually it's going to go away, right? It's going to be out of print. What happens when Jasic goes out of print? I never maxed up my llama, right? A great regret, right? Because I didn't play green. Yeah. Right. I was stuck on, I didn't understand the magnitude of all the splinters. Right. I did not max out. What's another one that I did? Oh, Lear Deep Swimmer. Right. I mean, it's a trash. Well, it's not trash, but it's not a commonly used card. But when you use it the way it's supposed to against Jotun, you get your butt kicked. Yeah. Right. Not a lot of people have it. I have Chancius. Right. And that was. I had a weakness in the Life Splinter, right? So it's a great card, but I don't play it, right? It's actually delegated to somebody, right? So because I think Ilfane is much better, right? I think Ilfane is great, right? So just based on these summoners for this set are based on reacting to rule sets. That's their benefit. Yeah. And they're great for that. Yeah. Right. Sure. Could you play competitively with just those cards? Absolutely. I think that will give you an opportunity. I think they're easy to level up. However, they're not the end all be all. Right. And you'll still have to fill in some little, couple of things. But I think as we learn the metas, things will be great.
Yeah. And that's really the name of the game, right? Is having those options to fit the situation. Kelly is fantastic, and I would say of the modern summoners, she's still probably the best all around. Yep. But there's going to be other summoners that are much more powerful in the given rule set, right? And being able to have that option to make that choice is the difference maker. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking about having Lux Vega in tournaments, right? Because if someone sees you have Lux Vega, they have no idea what's coming. None. Zero. Right? So they can say, oh, you have an affinity for fire, right? But if you play with Lux, they might be like, I have no idea. How can you prepare for anything with Lux? Nothing. Right? You could play Lux Fire, Lux Fire, Lux Fire, Lux Death. And then all of a sudden, you've literally changed everything that they were expecting.
And then you go all neutral.
Or you go all neutral, right? That's crazy. So, so I think we're going to see, Lux is not around yet, right? I can't wait till she comes. But so, you guys thinking about getting one?
Go ahead, Kieran.
Currently, no. Maybe when she drops the price, but yeah, I'm not in the position. Okay. What about you, Ben?
I wish, man. I had to prioritize Rift Watchers. Rooney's got the priority, and I've got to save my pennies for, we've got the Water Legendary Summoner coming next.
Yep.
So yes, I would. I'm still waiting for Waka to come down a little bit more, and I would probably get Waka before Lux Vega. But
well said, sir. Well said.
Yeah, we've got to pick. We've got to choose, right? We can't have everything. So
push and shove. So
that's right.
So I'm gonna get Lux, and I will delegate them to you guys to mess around with.
Oh wow,
that'd be awesome, man.
I'll let you guys hold them for like a season, right, and see just how it impacts your season.
Wow, that'd be great. Thanks, man.
Good experimentation. So
yeah.
Well, Darkestnyte, it has been an absolute pleasure. I think I speak for both Kieran and myself, and all of the People's Guild listeners in saying this has been a total blast having you on, man.
Thanks. Well, I really appreciate you guys having me on. For me, this is good too, right? I get to talk about things that I love. And again, I can't really do that with a whole lot of my real life friends, right? So, but yeah, this is fun. I'll, if you guys ever want to have me back on, I'd love to do it.
Would love to.
That's not even a question, bro. We absolutely. And Angel's Envy shots on Darkestnyte Philippines Splinterfest 2023.
If we could make that happen, I will be that'll be awesome.
What happens when the Splinterlands community decides to organize its own Splinterfest and we tell Aggie and Matt, like, hey, we've got 500 Splinterlanders coming to Boracay in 2023. You guys better be there.
So I would, based on some conversations that were had there, I'm sure that they would assist in any way that they could to make that happen. And whatever that means, right? Support, I would say send Weirdbeard a message and just say, hey, we want to do this. Because I don't want to wait a year. I really don't. I don't want to wait like a full year to do something like that. I know that most of the people that were at Splinterfest, they would make the journey to it, right? I wouldn't mind going, even up to Canada, to where Dwayne lives, right? And just say, hey, man, we want to do a regional something here. It doesn't have to be 500 people, right?
Yeah.
It could be 100 people. It could be 50 people. I thought that would be a success, right? So 50 people, some people fly in. The guys from Japan would definitely fly to the Philippines right there, right? So I'm sure that they would come to perform and compete. And the stuff like this, right? That's a box that somebody shipped out, and here's your stuff to give out while you're there, right? So, I mean, these are all doable things. And again, we're the community, and worst comes to worst, put a proposal out there that we can all vote on.
I love it, and we can do that. So, we can do that.
Has Aftersound come on yet?
He has.
Really? He was our first guest, actually. It was like 5. I think we're coming up on 6 months now. And we had Aftersound. That was like our first big push for the podcast when we decided, hey, this is something we actually want to pursue. And Aftersound was kind enough to hop on, and we told him that we were getting you on, and he was stoked, man. So we told Aftersound we're going to circle back to him in about the next month or 6 weeks and get him back on. So
so when I have bags under my eyes for the next week, it's going to be like, I stayed up late listening to all the podcasts. So I'm going to download them all and just listen to them all. I'm going to be excited.
Love it, man.
Appreciate that. Okay, everybody, you have been listening to
People's Guild.